Good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nat Bunak, and you may have noticed that we are making some changes to the program, and regardless, we still have a lot to talk about, especially with the latest in Thai politics. So we begin the program tonight with the recap of the protests which took place at the Victory Monument in Bangkok on Saturday, where thousands of protesters gathered to call for the resignation of Prime Minister Paetongtarn over the leaked phone call with Hun Sen. And you can see right now that this was the atmosphere of the demonstrations at the Victory Monument in Bangkok, which was led by the Rwam Palang Phaendin movement. So you could clearly see thousands of protesters gathered at the venue, waving Thai flags here and there, and also bringing up signs criticizing the Prime Minister, especially with the way she handled the border tensions and over the leaked phone call with the President Senate of Cambodia, Hun Sen. And the anti-government demonstrations began at 9 a.m. in the morning and lasted until the evening, with protest leaders taking turns to criticize the Prime Minister, especially how she mishandled the border tensions. People who led the protests are mostly veteran activists of the Yellow Shirt movement, which helped ousted the Thaksin government back in 2006. And those who joined the protests are of various generations, but most of them are of the older generation who have witnessed changes in Thai politics for decades. And during the protests, the key leaders have listed three key demands, which are calling for the Prime Minister Paetongtarn to resign immediately. They also call for all coalition partners to withdraw from the Pheu Thai-led government, and they also call for the people to stand up and protect the country's sovereignty. Some of the speakers also criticized Paetongtarn for committing treason, which stems from the notorious phone call with Hun Sen, where she called Hun Sen the uncle and naming the Second Army region as the opponent. Other protesters who joined the rally told reporters that they are here to protect the country and that the current prime minister is deemed unfit for the country leader position. Some even said that they could no longer trust Paetongtarn as the country's leader, considering the underlying political crises and how she has dealt with the recent border tensions with Cambodia. And with the protests aside, meanwhile, the opposition People's Party has condemned some of the protest leaders for advocating for a coup to topple the government of Prime Minister Paetongtarn and urged members of the public to withdraw their support for the Rwam Palang Phaendin movement. In the statement, the party says that a rally to demand the resignation of the Prime Minister and the withdrawal of coalition parties from the government is normal in democracy. However, the party alleged that some of the protest leaders had taken this opportunity to advocate for a military coup, which is unconstitutional and undemocratic. It also said that a coup would not solve the country's political problems, but it would worsen the political situation. And the party also renewed its call for the Prime Minister to dissolve the House to pave the way for the next general election. And the group who staged the rallies on Saturday insists, though, that they are not here to support the military coup, but to actually protect the country and its sovereignty over the recent tensions. But what the People's Party felt was that some of the protest leaders are actually calling for a military coup to oust the Prime Minister instead. And with the increasing calls for the resignation of Prime Minister Paetongtarn, Shinawatra also came with petitions to oust her from office as well. And to give you a recap of who has filed the petition so far, we begin with one group of senators who filed a petition against Prime Minister Paetongtarn to the Constitutional Court, seeking them to terminate her premiership for gross ethical misconduct. And another group of senators filed a petition with the National Anti-Corruption Commission, also for the same reason. And at the same time, there's also political activist Rangkai Likiwathana, who filed his petition to the Election Commission last week to strip Paetongtarn for the same reason. And for the Rom Palang Pandin group, which led the protest on Saturday, also filed a petition with the police at the Central Investigation Bureau to press criminal charges against Prime Minister Paetongtarn for causing harm to national security. So currently there are about 4 lawsuits at the moment, one to the Constitutional Court, to the NACC, to the police, and also to the Election Commission. And these lawsuits are from various groups accusing her from various reasons, whether it's malfeasance in office, threatening national security, and breaching ethical standards for office holders. And if she is found guilty, Paetongtarn would be dismissed from office for violating the Constitution. At the same time, the offenses related to national security or even treason can actually carry capital punishment as well. And with all of that said, tomorrow might be another turning point in Thai politics and for Prime Minister Paetongtarn herself, because the Constitutional Court will consider whether to accept the petition submitted by the senators or not, which will also determine the fate of Paetongtarn herself. So there are 2 case scenarios here. First of all, if the court accepts the case, Paetongtarn might be suspended from her duties, or the other case scenario would be that she might be allowed to stay on. So we will still have to wait and see how the Constitutional Court would decide on this case. And with the leaked audio clip that shook the 2 nations, both Thailand and Cambodia, the mass protests calling for the Prime Minister to resign, and even the accusations that she has mismanaged the country, it is certain that her popularity will continue to drop. Now let's talk about the recent opinion poll that just came out a few days ago. A recent NIDA poll shows that People's Party leader Nattapong Ruangpanyavuth is the most popular politician for Thailand's next prime minister, and he actually got a total of 31.48% of the votes. Coming second, 19% of the respondents voted for a non-existent second candidate, or in other words, they could not find a suitable candidate to become the next prime minister at the moment. And the third favorite is General Prayut Chan-o-cha, who's the former Prime Minister of Thailand, who received 12.7% of the votes. Fourth on the list is Phumchai Thai Party leader Anutin Charnvirakul, who got 9.6% of the votes. And fifth place goes to the current Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra, who got 9.2% of the votes. And regarding the popularity of the parties, the People's Party came first with 46% of the votes, followed by the United Thai Nation Party, Pheu Thai Party, and Phumchai Thai Party. And the other remaining votes went to a party where they felt that they could not find a suitable party to rule the government yet. And it is also worth mentioning that Paetongtarn's popularity has declined in almost every single quarter based on the opinion polls gathered by NIDA poll. And even for the ruling Pheu Thai itself, the popularity has also declined as well. So you can see that from last year, And up until the recent opinion poll that took place in the second quarter of this year, Paetongtarn's popularity has plunged dramatically. So this probably reflects that people do not have the trust in Paetongtarn's administration and the way she handled the country as well. But then, even with that said, we also have to acknowledge that there are still supporters of Paetongtarn and the Pheu Thai-led government as well. But regardless of that, many people have called for the House dissolution, whether it's the opposition parties and even some political analysts who have said that House dissolutions may be the only way out for the Paetongtarn administration right now. So now let's have a listen to some of the political analysts who we have talked to previously as to why they think the House dissolution would be the best way out. We begin with political analyst from Ubon Ratchathani University, Dr. Thitithipol Phakdeewanit, who felt that the lead conversation between Prime Minister Paetongtarn and Hun Sen puts the Prime Minister in trouble and also puts the political stability on the edge of collapse. In fact, there are not many options for her at the moment. And when we asked him what would be the best way out between resigning from the post, staying on with a slim majority government, or dissolving the House of Representatives, this is how he answered the question.
I think the best option is to dissolve the parliament because this would actually help to change her image as well, because she has been trying to argue that she's a new generation, she's a new leader, and the Pheu Thai is also trying to mobilize support from younger generation as well. So then if she actually dissolve the parliament and return power to the people, this would actually set a new political culture in Thailand that, when the leader make mistakes and they resign, and that would be a very good thing for the party and for herself. But I don't think this would be the option that she would take, because the interest of the country is not the priority of the Prime Minister and the Pheu Thai. Their priority is always the interest of the Chinawat tribe. So I think with the Pheu Thai, the interest of the party will always be above the interest of the country. So they wouldn't take the option of dissolution unless there is a big force from the public.
Meanwhile, another political analyst, Dr. Thonawanick, also felt that the parliament dissolution would be the best way out for Prime Minister Paetongtarn, as he described that the country right now is not any different from being a failed state.
The best for the country at this point, I think it's dissolution of parliament. Because I see that at this point, it is very close to being a failed state. Starting from failed government, failed parliament, then it will be a failed state, because things happen in parliament. If the parliamentarians are not doing anything, then the court can't do anything. For example, people charge Kun Paetongtarn, send it to the court say, we oust Paetongtarn, but they choose another prime minister. How many will have to be ousted before everything gets settled and the people get to say something again? Otherwise, people will have to come out and say, we disapprove you. Okay, so if we want the system to walk itself, then something has to be done parliamentarily, which means that at this point, best for the country is dissolution of the parliament. But as I said, only the actual prime minister will be able to do this.
While most of the political analysts we have talked to before think that the dissolution of the parliament or the House of Representatives to call for a new election would be the best way out for the country, some people felt that this is the only way for Paetongtarn to revive her image as the new generation country leader. But there is one person who may not think this way. That is the former registered leader, Nattawut Saikea, who claimed that dissolving the House could pave the way for a general election, but that would not really solve Thailand's political conflict. He actually cited two political incidents that took place in the past which proved from his perspective that this may not actually solve the existing problems in Thai politics. One instance was when former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra dissolved the House in February 2006. Then the now defunct People's Alliance for Democracy, widely known as the Yellow Shirts, held prolonged street protests, including blockades of airports in Bangkok for about 7 months, and that has led to a military coup in September 19, 2006, which overthrew the Thaksin administration. Another incident that took place was during the administration of Yingluck Shinawatra. She dissolved the House in 2013 following the protests led by the People's Democratic Reform Committee, known as the Goppapasaw in Thai. And the protest group called for a public boycott of the election, prompting the military to step in and overthrow the administration. Natawut, who is currently an advisor to Prime Minister Paetongtarn, said that he respects the right of the protesters to call for her resignation. However, he insists that Prime Minister Paetongtarn has the right to make her own decisions, and he even claimed that there are still many people who support her. He even suggested that both the government and the opposition should work together to maintain the democratic system and to protect national interests. And what Natawut is saying is that there is a cycle. So whenever there's a House dissolution, there would be protests against the government, which might continue from beforehand, and that would often end up with a military coup. So this is from Natawut Saika's perspective, where this is a cycle of dissolution, then protests, and then a military coup. And with the military coup in place for the past 2 times, in recent history, this is something that many people do not want to see anymore. But regardless of how it will turn out, especially with tomorrow, whether the Constitutional Court will consider the case, many political activists have already felt that they are witnessing the downfall of the Paetongtarn administration, which would not be any different from her predecessors in the Shinawatra tribe. So we will have to wait and see how it goes for tomorrow, especially tomorrow where the court will decide whether to accept the case of Paetongtarn or not. And possibly Paetongtarn might be suspended from his duties, or she might be allowed to stay on. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes for tomorrow. All right, and that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Join us every Monday and Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Thai PBS World's Facebook and YouTube Live. And don't forget to follow us on social media and our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest stories and analyses about Thailand. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ